Hi everyone, we made it to Grenada. So I'm so sorry this video has taken longer than I anticipated to make, but I have a very good explanation, and that is coming to Grenada and adjusting and dealing with everything else has completely just bombarded me, and that is the kind of motto for term 5. Basically, what I wanted to do in this video was give advice to anyone who's coming to the island for the first time, kind of just on the perspective that I've taken, some of the things that I wish I would have done and did, and just recommending those things to you. And then just how term 5 started. Again, I'm currently in the middle of term 5, so I can't give a full overview for those of the term 4s coming in, but I can definitely give an overview of the M and I module because I just think that that is the one that's going to be the one with the most new information versus all of the rest of the modules that are basically just review and preparations for step 1. So the first thing, I want to just put a huge disclaimer out there. Make sure that you are still following COVID protocols to the best of your ability or your wants and needs. I contracted COVID-19 for the first time ever, being down here on the island in the first 2 weeks. I ended up on quarantine for 7 days. I missed a ton of class. Of course, I still had the schoolwork and I kept up on it, but it was just that initial coming down to the island, getting adjusted, getting used to the heat, and now I have COVID. So it was just a terrible start to term 5 for me. So that is what I want to put out there. The next things were I typically brought a lot of the things that I needed. So make sure that you're buying in bulk sunscreen and bug spray, especially bug spray. I am super hypersensitive to mosquitoes, and all I have done is get eaten up by mosquitoes. So definitely buying bug spray. I even had to go to the hardware down here just to put some weather stripping on my windows. Some students have told me that the brand Bops is very, very good for mosquito use. It's like a insecticide that you can spray around, but other than that, it's been pretty good. I used a 40% DEET spray, so that's good. I bought all of my vitamins and supplements and everything on Amazon to bring down with me. That is something that you're not going to want to buy here because it's just so much more expensive. I made sure to stock my med kit before I came down, so extra Q-tips, sterile Q-tips, and cotton balls, and just little things like that. Those were really the main things that I can think about putting in my luggage. And I also have another tip for you guys. The video is full of tips. I think the biggest thing was if you are able to bring down food that you like, more so pantry items, that is an excellent idea. I can't tell you how much I spent at IGA the first day just buying actual stock stuff before I even went and bought my actual food. So a lot of the pantry items, think like peanut butter, granolas, ramen, olive oil, things like that, the little stuff that can add up. Put it in your suitcase if you can. I know you're limited to 2 suitcases, so if somebody is traveling with you, it's very, very good to go ahead and throw that in there. As far as weather gear, make sure that you have an umbrella both for rain and sun. I use my umbrella more for the sun than anything here. I don't know if you can see it, but the sun is just attacking my skin down here, even with me wearing sunscreen. Be prepared for the heat if it's your first time on the island. The sun in Grenada is like nothing I've ever felt. I've traveled to the Caribbean before, and it is just, it melts your soul when you go outside. So just be prepared for the sun and the humidity, and just bring clothes that you're comfortable with and the heat. Other than that, just pack your normal stuff. I packed bedding and pillows and sheets because I just wasn't sure. I was not sure what my apartment would have down here, and just all the basic stuff. So tons of toothpaste, tons of toiletries. Just make sure you buy those in bulk. I went to Amazon and I bought everything in bulk, and it saved me a lot of money before coming here. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is term 5. If you're term 3 and 4 and you're kind of looking for advice on the M and I module, I'm going to go ahead and take you through that. So term 5. Term 5 starts out busy, remains busy, and it just is busy. You have small groups, you have beeline groups where you're interacting with patients and doing your clinical skills. You have sim lab and hospital visits and quizzes and assignments and pretty much everything that they could have you do you have it in term 5 while studying and trying to review for step 1. So you now know best how to study. Even still in term 5, I'm changing and I'm rearranging and prioritizing and just studying in a different way that works for me in that moment. I have not gotten a set system. I feel like I never will, but I'm just studying the best that I can and know how. I have typically prioritized boards and beyonds for M&I, Anki, and doing sketchy. So sketchy saved my life for my first exam. It, even when I didn't feel like watching it, I still watched it because somehow when I was going through the questions, I would randomly remember the sketchy and I would get the answer right. And I think with the volume of information that we have coming at us, both from a pharmacology standpoint and pathology standpoint, sketchy for me, even though I hated it, I've gotten used to love it. I like it a lot better for microbiology than I did for pharmacology, but they both worked very, very well. So what you're going to experience in term 5 is your pharmacology, your microbiology, and your pathology. Now, your micro and your path are things that you have seen before. So as long as you've been keeping up, you can study, you can refresh your brain, those are pretty easy to go ahead and remember as far as, the family, the genus, whether it's double-stranded or single-stranded RNA, etc. They might introduce a few new diseases in micro, but it's nothing crazy. You are going to dive into HIV a lot, just the mechanism of HIV, which I found sketchy to be very, very helpful for, as well as the pharmacology. Sketchy was very, very helpful for me in pharmacology and first aid. First aid broke it down for me. It was very simple and short snippets, so that is another tip that I'll give. But you're basically going to be, first off, you're going to be going over your antidepressants, just me looking at my notes. So I like to take notes. This is basically how I work. This is how my brain works. I will go through the lecture and I will write out the important things. So you're going to be doing, for pharmacology-wise, your antidepressants, your antipsychotics. You move on to anxiolytics and hypnotics. And then we have anti-epileptics and drugs to treat Parkinson's. We're going to do drugs of abuse, which it's not something that's like crazy, but you will get into toxicology, which is very, very important to go ahead and read whatever notes that they give you. If they are the same from term to term, I'm not sure about that. You will get into general anesthetics. So I'm just kind of briefing you on things to get your mind running. Local anesthetics, neuromuscular blockers, and then all of the term's favorites, antibiotics. So antibiotics are, I'm just going to prepare you for it. They suck, they're crazy, and there's a lot. And not only do you have to know the antibiotic, of course, we're in medicine, we're going to become MDs. You're knowing the mechanism of resistance, what they're used for, what, substitutes can be used for them. So it's going to feel overwhelming during the first week. Antibiotics, some of them are still just passing by my head, but you'll get through it. Sketchy helped a lot, and just continuing to review, especially with your peers. Have them give you something like, what is drug of choice for bacterial endocarditis, and just list them off. That is the best way to learn them. There's pretty much, unless you guys have a better way, I used first aid, sketchy, and my peers, and a ton of practice questions. So be prepared for those. And then you'll finish up with some of the HIV pharmacology as well. Antifungals, so it's good to keep in the back of your head all of the parasitics and antifungals you will be learning, but it's good to go ahead and review all of, your nematodes, your trematodes, your cestodes, just to keep those in the back of your head, because we didn't really go over it besides in a DLA. So it's good. Again, sketchy helped me a lot. And then you'll finish up with a very brief segment of some bone homeostasis drugs. So that pretty much covers pharmacology. So then you just have your micro and your pathology. I don't really have too much to say on those just because there's so much review. The only things that are new are going to be really your brain tumors and your bone tumors. First aid will help you a lot in just annotating in first aid when and where you can. And basically, that wraps up the M&I module, and then all the rest begins your review of everything, and then preparing for step 1. So pretty much just come to the island, be prepared for the heat, the bugs, bring all that you can, bring your water bottles and your lunch boxes, and basically anything that you can put in your 2 suitcases or any family traveling with you, because that's always really helpful and saves on expenses. And you will adjust. You'll adjust to the island, you'll be here, you'll have fun, you'll get used to it. I can't say that I've gotten used to the heat, but it is what it is. I'll probably still be here 3 months from now complaining about the sun. That's my favorite thing to complain about here. But it is really great to be on campus and be around my peers and studying and being able to do actual labs, and now going on hospital rotations next week. So I will keep you guys updated. If you have any questions for me, please do in the comments. I'm very, very happy to answer, and it helps me take a break from studying every once in a while to answer your questions. If you kind of want to see more about daily life and on-campus stuff, I do post that more on my Instagram, so you can go and watch videos about my favorite places to eat, what county campus is like, the things I run into that day, what kind of animals I run into that day are always my favorite things to post. So as always, I'm wishing anyone who's coming in as a term 1, or even my fellow peers that are watching, the best of luck. We're all in this together. We're all going through the same struggles and triumphs, and I just wish you guys the best of luck. Keep going, keep studying hard, and I'll check in with you guys soon.